I always get asked why I build my cabinets from scratch instead of like using IKEA cabinets or anything like that. Well, for me, I've looked into IKEA cabinets, but they're never the right size, and I'd rather have something the perfect size if I'm going to put this much work into it, and it just takes a little bit of planning and cutting down some plywood, so it's not really a big deal. When I'm building cabinets like this, I use 3/4 of an inch plywood. It's sanded plywood, so it's like cabinet grade, so it's nice and smooth and ready for paint. Also, I know these cabinets look huge compared to me, but I am also 4'11". My ceilings are 9.5 feet tall. I had a little trouble getting this piece in because I had it nice and tight, so that way it would fit nice and snug. And man, it was a workout and a struggle to get that in. Once I got it perfectly in place, I screwed it into place so it's nice and secure. And in my entryway, I wanted to create a little place where you can sit as well with drawers underneath. And you can see on the right side there are holes on these shelves. This is also a cat tree type setup here. The plan was to keep the litter box in the lower cabinet and then have it to where she can crawl up on those shelves and get to the top place because she doesn't really have a cat tree or anything. Plus, we have no good space to keep the litter box in our house. Here I'm adding the face frame. This is just 1x2 primed pine. And I'm attaching it with plenty of brad nails, and that's plenty strong enough. The area right here, right above the bench, is where Ellie can go and crawl around, and then I wanted to add some storage on top of that. I planned on adding baskets up there, and this isn't a place that she can get to. Then I'm adding more primed pine up top to close the gap in between the cabinets and the ceiling. Also, you can see that chandelier is in the way. I didn't really think of that when I planned out the build for this, so I still haven't moved it to this day. And this cabinet has been built for maybe a year or two now. Eventually, we'll get in the attic and move that chandelier to the middle of the space. I could add a flush mount light, but I love the chandelier so much. It came from World Market, and I'm not going to change it out. I got all the outside of it painted. This is Alabaster by Sherwin-Williams. It's the same color that's on my walls. And yes, I'm building my own doors because it's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying custom-made doors. I put my doors together with pocket holes for the primed pine parts of it. I haven't quite figured out how to do the tongue and groove method yet. And instead of routing the inside of it, I just add this tiny little trim and it works perfect. It does the trick. The brown stuff in the middle is just brown board paneling. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. And here I'm using slow close hinges because they're just the best. And no, I never did paint the inside of these. The inside of the brown board is kind of a rough texture, and it doesn't bother me that it's brown. I have this with all the doors that I've made, and would that bother you? Because it really doesn't bother me. I may end up painting it one day. I don't know, we'll see. And then I got the rest of this painted. I put beadboard on that back part because I just love the texture of it. And this is just common board that I've stained. I believe I used special walnut topped with weathered oak for that color. I'm securing them down by using construction adhesive and brad nails. And they've held up great for the last couple years. Side note, this Milwaukee brad nailer is probably my favorite tool. It's battery operated. And here for the drawers for underneath the bench, I'm just using what I had on hand, which is some leftover pressed wood. I'm adding pocket holes to them to connect it to the side pieces. And the side pieces, I'm using 3/4 of an inch plywood that I had on hand. It was left over from a different project. I didn't want to buy a whole sheet of plywood for a few drawers. And I don't have a video of me installing those drawers or building the drawer fronts, but this is how it turned out, and I'm completely in love with the space. Another side note, you see that little cat door right there? That's where her litter box is now. I got to do a collaboration with PetSafe for their automatic scoop-free litter box. And it was so life-changing that I had to move her litter box to the closet because this one is too big for this little cabinet that I built. And I did build this built-in specifically for a place to put her litter box. Isn't that crazy? For the link to my auto litter box, just check the description.